Good morning. Let us go ahead and learn a few things which might help us to improve our self learning skills. And this session is as part of HUN 102 Professional Communication. To start off, let us understand that we need to harmonize our skills for success. We will basically learn about the importance of research skills, which will enable us to find accurate and reliable information. Through this session, we will enhance our research skills and studying skills by utilizing a few modern online resources and platforms. We will have to learn what these resources are, what these platforms are, and how can we effectively use them. We will learn about repositories, forums, and a few platforms which will help us research, find more knowledge. We will learn the importance of academic integrity. We will learn what plagiarism is and how to avoid plagiarism. And ultimately, we will also understand how reporting is done. Even though we know quite a few things related to editing, to generating documents, a quick overview would help in understanding that there are a few packages like Microsoft Word or even Google Documents, Google Docs, which Google Docs is free to use. Microsoft Word has a free online platform. These are cloud softwares. So anybody who has a Gmail account or a Google account for that matter has the option to use documents which has a part of Word, something for PowerPoints, and something for spreadsheets or Microsoft Excel. Each package has a different name, but essentially backend they are all the same, with which you can prepare documents, with which you can prepare slideshows, just like the one I'm using right now, or even you can have calculations done or even databases managed using spreadsheets. Now the point is, of course, as part of your plus two courses and your plus two projects and all, you might have used most of these softwares, but what what needs to be done is keep using them as much as possible and try to use more of its hidden features which you might not have used while you were in class 12. You will by now know that spellings is important, and these softwares has built in spell checks which you are free to use, along with proper spellings, usage of proper grammar, and punctuation errors. Avoiding punctuation errors is important for a document to be well presented. Now, to help you correct grammatical errors and punctuation errors, there are specialized softwares. One example is Grammarly, which you are free to use. You can just download and install a package on your computer. Grammarly will at the back end read through every text that you type in, and if it has any grammar issues will give you a warning which you can go ahead and change. Grammarly also helps you to check for consistency and clarity of whatever you are presenting. Okay, so this is a very important new tool which you are free to use. Getting feedback from colleagues and professors or teachers is an important idea, and for that, a document that you create will be better if you share it with your colleagues and get your feedback. You call such, sharing and editing collaborative work. So, to collaborate, Google Docs is a very good option. Google Docs, you can share your document with others with edit privileges or comment privileges. So once you start using them, you will understand what this comment feature is and what the edit feature is. So somebody can give you comments on Google Doc, which you may accept, which you cannot. If you do not, appreciate the comment, you might as well discard the comment and go ahead with your final document. So using Google Docs is an important, requirement. You will also have to learn how to work with multiple revisions and versions. So if you start off with a draft and somebody gives you comments, you add the comment or maybe you subtract from that draft, and then you come with something called the version 1, which further can get comments which you can add or subtract, will give you to version 2, will take you to version 3, and so on. So if you have multiple versions, and at the end, maybe somebody, some of your professor says, okay, version 2 was good, and if you do not have a copy of what version 2 was, things might take a lot of time. You might lose a lot of time to get back to your version. So keeping stock of multiple revisions is made easy using Google Docs, which will also help you generate good presentations or reports or whatever. Anyway, understand that collaborative editing is a requirement in this digital age. Moving on to finding more information, obviously using search engines like Google or Bing is one very good option. But a simple Google search, rather than a simple Google search, you may use advanced search operators for more accurate results. Now, what do you mean by these search operators? Say, for example, you want to learn about electromagnetic induction. If I just go ahead and search for electromagnetic induction, I might get a lot of data. Okay, so this page here, Google is a search engine which might give me a lot of information about electromagnetic induction. But if you take a look at these filters here, these filters can help you with specialized information. Say, for example, I just click on this PDF over here. Right now, I'm going to get PDF results which I can download and print about electromagnetic induction. Maybe if I just want images, I click on images, I can fine tune my result limit itself to images about electromagnetic induction. Okay, so these filters, using these filters appropriately depending on what we have to search for, is an important skill which you might need to understand. For the time being, just understand that there are advanced search operators. Using search operators, you can narrow down your search results to specific categories, and you might as well check for relevance and credibility of these informations. Now, credibility, how credible is the source of information you get from the internet, is an important requirement which you will have to understand in due course, because misinformations are a lot on this online era. Some understanding on repository. Repository, the word meaning itself is important. Now, repository it just means a place of storage. Okay, a place of storage. Now, this means you can store your data. Okay, data repository means you can store your data at one specific place. It is kind of a shelf on which you go ahead and keep your books. So information or data can be kept at one particular place. One example of a repository, of a code repository, is GitHub. A code repository means a place of storage for software codes. GitHub is a place where you can go ahead and store programs or codes for specific applications. There are other software repositories wherein you can go ahead and store softwares for sharing it with others, or you can, or anything for that matter which can be stored in a place, you call it a repository. GitHub is an important skill that you will have to understand and learn, which I can just as well pick up on a new slide here and show you how things work on GitHub. GitHub, just go ahead and search for GitHub. It takes you to the home page of GitHub, and as you look through this site, I would want you to do this exercise. If you look through this site, you will find the sign in button. So if you do not have a GitHub account already, go ahead and sign up and use the free feature. Just for example, what I'm going to show you here is who has a GitHub page. I'm going to click into his page and show you how this page is going to look like. So this is one of our students right now pursuing his BTech, and see how he has developed his GitHub page. You can just scroll down and see that he has almost 1,371 contributions over the past year, and you know whatever code that he has done. So I just click on this part here. You can see that he has made quite a few contributions on this open source tool using Python, uh, and all of his repositories. Now see his repositories. He has kept his S6 mini project over here. His deep learning nodes is over here. R programming learn is over here, and quite a lot of his other works which he has done is safely stored in this GitHub account of his, which he has shared for public use as well. And very similar to GitHub, the difference between Git and GitHub. Git is something called a version control system, is a version control system which you should go ahead and learn, which I would advise everybody to learn. You can just YouTube for Git tutorials, and you can get a lot of tutorials on how Git works. Now GitHub works using Git at the back end, but GitHub is basically a code repository. Okay, so two concepts I would want you to search more and learn: Git and GitHub. Similar to Git, Stack Exchange is another repository used for knowledge searching, knowledge sharing, searching and sharing, basically for technical items. Now, GitHub is where you can go ahead and store anything you want. Stack Exchange is a place where technical information can be searched for, mostly on the computing domain. Both of these are mostly open source in the sense it is free to use and free to distribute. But as an engineer, as an upcoming engineer, what I would request you to do is go to these pages and start learning, number one, and number two, start contributing on these open source projects. So open source project is when someone has started off a project and he has kept it open for people to use and make additions if required. And once you make an addition, you are requested to share it with others as well. Build up a profile of yourself as Ajay has done. Go ahead and build up a profile of yours. Other online platforms are massive open online course, wherein you get opportunity to learn from experts around the world. I would request you to go ahead and Coursera has a lot of free online courses which you can go ahead and search. You can just join and search for courses based out of a lot of universities. Search for degrees, anything that you are interested on. Say for example, you are interested to learn about Python for beginners. So see that there are a lot of courses for beginners which you can search here at different level. For beginner level at less than 2 hours, which has guided projects. Filter your search, okay, find a course that you are interested in, click on the particular course, register, log in, start learning, and get certified. Now, these certificates can be published and will be considered valuable as well. Coursera is just one. Very similar to Coursera, there is Swayam from the Government of India, Swayam, Swayam Central. You can just Google for Swayam, and on Swayam Central, you can learn directly from a lot of IIT professors. NPTEL is one important national coordinator for engineering and technical subjects. So you can just search for this and say, for example, you want to learn on a subject, just search for Python in the Swayam portal, and here you have programming in Python, image processing using Python, business analytics, a lot of courses based out of Python, scientific computing using Python. Scientific computing is a paper that you have to learn as part of your engineering curriculum. You can just click on it. You can learn from Professor Mahendra Verma at IIT Kanpur directly. Okay, so this is one opportunity where the syllabus is given, everything is given over here. Swayam portal is Indian. You can learn from IIT professors. Coursera is an international massive open online courseware where you can learn from professors worldwide. And the beauty is all of this is absolutely free. So use these portals for your academic courses. They have video lectures, quizzes, and assignments for learning. Ultimately, continuous learning is important for personal growth. Quora is another platform wherein you can ask questions directly. Quora is more of a question and answer forum. Okay, it's a forum wherein people can answer questions. So you ask a question, somebody else out there who knows an answer answers that question. Multiple people can answer your question, and you can just go back to your Quora account and keep checking for it. Pick up a page and search for who am I? Maybe this is a question that I have. Who am I is a question, and I want answers on this on Quora. Okay, if somebody else has answered this question on Quora, so this is a website. Q is the symbol for Quora, Quora.com. Who am I? So somebody else has answered this question, and there are around 385 answers to this question. Let us see. So who am I? Sri Keshava answers this particular question in such a way. Somebody else answers in some other way. The multiple people out there who knows an answer to this question goes ahead and answers, and you can keep reading and you can speak back to them whatever you want. Okay, so Quora is more of a question and answer kind of site wherein you can gather more information. As part of academia, writing a report is very, very important. Now, when you write a report of anything, to understand who is going to read your report is very important before you even start writing the report. Write for your audience. And the process of writing is first to plan what you're going to write, collect and data, analyze the data, and ultimately structure the report in a well organized fashion. Now, what do you mean by these things? Let us try to understand. Generally, there might be different types of reports. One, you can have an analytical report wherein if there is a problem which needs some solution. So maybe the principal of our college calls one of the faculty and says, give me a report about the wireless connectivity within this institution. So this is an there is it might be because the principal got some complaints about a problem of wireless connectivity within the organization, and he wants to understand what the actual issue is, so he calls in the network team and asks for a report. Now what is needed here is the network team has to go all around the college, find what the problems of the network in the college are, and maybe propose a few solutions to it. You call such reports analytical reports. Maybe technical reports, wherein technical information about experiments and data analysis and engineering details are required. Maybe a technical report about the road that has been constructed, because there are quite a lot of accidents happening on that particular road. The minister can ask him for a technical report, what went wrong, and how can it be rectified. Maybe to start a new business, you might have to study the market, understand how finances are, and then create a business report. But for us as students, a research report or an academic report wherein you try to solve them using various research methodologies and report your results is required. Okay, so you might have to do research reports as part of your academia. So we will concentrate our study onto how a report, an academic report, is structured. Number one, it needs a title page wherein what is the study about is mentioned, and it needs an abstract. Abstract is generally around 150 to 200 words. In 150 to 200 words, you mention what the entire report is about. Reading the abstract is very important, and you should also understand that writing the abstract happens last but is always kept at the front of the report. You have to introduce what your work is and set a little bit of background, understand what the problem is, what is the present situation about the problem statement, and the current literature about the problem is required. That is wherein you put your introduction and background, and then you go ahead and propose a solution with a methodology. So you use a specific methodology. What all methods did you use? How did you analyze your data? And all those things has to be understood. Once the methodology is properly set on how the work is being performed, what are the results we obtained, and from the results, what is the understanding we made. The findings usually should be in a table or in a graph and should be well organized. With the results and findings, a further discussion and analysis of the result and findings has to be done. So you go ahead and analyze the result, and we draw meaningful conclusions. We try to understand, and from the understanding, we say that okay, this might have happened because of this. Have meaningful understanding about the result you got. And again, based out of the meaningful conclusions that you got, maybe you can suggest some things, or you can make recommendations for potential solutions to the problem you identified. A report needs to identify a problem, needs to propose a possible solution, needs some specific methodology based out of which an experiment is conducted. The results of the experiments have to be reported. The understanding that you made from the results has to be reported, has to be discussed and reported, and maybe a few recommendations have to be made. Now, when you write your report, one important thing that you've got to take care of is to avoid plagiarism. Now, what is plagiarism? The word meaning of plagiarism: copying. As in an exam, copying or cheating is malpractice. Copying or cheating in report writing is also a malpractice. So you should not direct copy from any other source on the internet or maybe some other paper. You cannot paraphrase without attributing the original work. So you just rewrite someone else's work as if it was your idea without giving credit to the original author is plagiarism. You cannot self plagiarize. That is, if you have one work or one something that you have already written should not be rewritten into another research work without proper citation or without permission of the first publisher. You cannot patch write. Patch writing means mix and copy from multiple sources without proper citation. Okay, so if you have different papers, you copy one line from one paper, another line from another paper, you call that patch writing. You cannot use images, graphs, or data without crediting the original author. So if you just search for a particular image online, you pick up that image and use it as if you drew that image is not proper. A failure to cite the proper sources, ghost writing, again, taking credit for work written by someone else, by such as hiring someone to write for you on your behalf, and collaborative plagiarism. Collaborative plagiarism means when you pass on a group work as if it was yours alone. Now, how do you avoid plagiarism? You properly cite the source. There are different formats for citing work, maybe the IEEE format or the APA, MLA format, etc. The IEEE is the most common, which we will see how it is in a short while. And you will have to paraphrase or summarize effectively. So summarize the work that somebody else has done and cite it properly. Citation is very, very important. Just for your understanding, there are different methods of referencing. So referencing or even bibliography and references are two important terms wherein you cite your previous work of some predecessor. There are different methods in which the IEEE standard is very, very important. How do you cite is again something that you will have to learn. And say for example, it is from a book, something that you've written is from a book. Citation method is always like this: the author name first. So say for example, you are citing something from the Art of Technical Writing written by J. Smith. You first have to mention the author name. Okay, the author name, the title of the book. So author name, title, publisher, the publisher, the country, the city or country, and the year. If it was a journal article, again, author name, title, which journal, instead of the publisher, which journal, and every journal will have something called a volume number and issue number. So volume number and issue number, and which pages in that journal was this particular paper, which year was it published. Again, if it is a conference paper, the standard is pretty much the same. Author name first, title of the paper, where was it presented, which conference was it presented, country, month, and year. Nowadays, there is something called the digital object identifier as well. If you search for that paper online, the paper might have a DOI. In that case, you will have to mention the DOI or the digital object identifier as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and enjoy the journey of educating yourself. Thank you.